Hey everybody, a belated happy Thanksgiving and welcome back. Today there is another update for the B-17G. It is the third update, version 0.9.3. If memory serves right, this one was due last week, so it is a week late, but better late than never, I'd say. So I won't linger too much on that and kind of go through the list of what's on the update. The first part of it is nicknamed Burbank. It's presumably named because Lockheed's subsidiary Vega built a number of B-17F and G models at their plant in Burbank. Coincidentally, it's also the location of Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, where they work on some cool experimental airplanes. So that's cool. Now what's in the update? Just like the last update, they kind of repeated themselves on a number of items. The first one is a new sound package. We'll find that out when we start the engine. If it is better than it was before, I'm giving that a hell yeah. For my previous videos, the sound was a complaint that I had. The next one is added landing lights, something I've mentioned literally every time as well, which, cool. I'm glad if they started adding the little lights in. The next are kind of a couple of things that are lumped together. The first one is stall behavior improvement. I think that ties into one of the next improvement points, which is the center of gravity is adjusted. And then they added a separate point for balance adjusted for less trim input. Well, it kind of all goes back to the same thing. It did have kind of a wacky center of gravity. It did have a weird balance in general. Hopefully that makes flying it a little bit easier. They said they updated the external textures. Well, I'm just on a 1080p monitor. If you have 4K, I'm sure you'll see the difference. I don't. But that's just because I'm a poverty tier gamer. That's just the way of life. Then there are fuel tank adjustments, which, cool, it uses fuel. And then another balance adjusted, which it feels kind of excessive to have to say that. They're kind of just recycling those points. It's just balance adjusted. It doesn't give a reason how it was adjusted or why it was adjusted. The last one is, it feels also a recycled one. I already said center of gravity was adjusted. Now on the last point it says center of gravity adjusted to allow for tail wheel to come off on takeoff run. We already said center of gravity 15 times at this point. If we keep saying the word center of gravity, it's going to lose all meaning, so we're moving on from that. Realistically, 4 improvement points on the list. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I don't remember seeing the skin in the past, but it's kind of cool. And we're just going to do a quick startup here. I will say nothing is labeled or anything. There haven't been any updates to the cockpit as it stands, so I'm not expecting anything to show up or work. Let's see what the clipboard does. Clipboard does nothing. Okay, let's give it a quick start here. The smoke for engine 1 came out of engine 2. The smoke for engine 3 comes out of engine 2. The smoke for engine 4 comes out of engine 2. That's a new bug. That used to come out of each respective engine. So that's new. I will say the sound is better, but I haven't played since I last flew it, so that could be part of it. I swear this skin is new as well. I have not seen this before. Or maybe that's just me not remembering it. Either way, let's set the flaps down. can... Goodness gracious, what did they do here? Oh, okay. Y'all remember how I had a complaint that you could see through the cabin here? They fixed that by adding some of the interior in its place. You know what? It's effective. It's a fix. I'm calling that fixed. Because I can no longer see through the airplane onto the runway. I just turned on the landing lights. For such a massive light, that output is... we'll call it a light. At least it's functional. So that's a start. Alright. Let's go ahead and take a look. I started using Beyond ATC. And quite honestly, it is nice. It does a lot better with traffic in more densely populated areas.
Reach 1984, ramp November 8th, request startup.
I'm just letting it auto-respond.
1984, startup approved, call when ready for taxi.
Roger, engine start approved, reach 1984.
I am going to be working on a video going over Beyond ATC.
Reach 1984.
I'm just getting more familiar with it at first. Setup and installation is a lot of work.
Reach 1984, runway 21 taxi via Alpha.
But once you have it going, it's a lot of fun.
Runway 21 taxi via Alpha, reach 1984.
Reach 1984, contact decoy tower 122.1.
Over to tower 122.1, reach 1984.
I swear the skin is new, but I will say so far a lot of things have been fixed and added, so I'll give them that. It's a little too big for this airport. That's okay. We'll make it onto the runway regardless. Well, no, because we just zoomed out and now I can see through that window again, because now I can see the yellow stripe on the runway. Yeah, that's not fixed. Aww. That's genuinely a little bit disappointing. I was actually excited for that one. What just happened to my sound? And my engines, for that matter. That was odd. I swear I didn't press any buttons, but it's not the first time I've had a ghost in the machine, so... Now, you know what is nice though, is if you're using Beyond ATC, it does have a little map showing you all of the taxiways at your local airport. And if you have that on a separate screen, it makes taxiing a lot easier on the bigger airports that are more complex. Let's go ahead and request departure.
Reach 1984, holding short, runway 21.
Reach 1984. McCoy Tower, wind 210 at 10, fly heading 130, runway 21, cleared for takeoff.
Fly heading 130. Runway 21.
Holy smokes, that is loud. And now it's, oh, and now it's loud again. Okay. There's something wrong with the audio. You guys are at 0.85, so 85%. The audio jerks from really loud to really soft in the cockpit. Let's see if we can hear it again.
Reach 1984, reset transponder. Scoop 1000.
And there it goes. Do you hear that? That is loud as shit in my earphones.
1000. Reach 1984.
Holy fucking shit, that's loud. Yeah, the sound is of a higher quality, but it's also an insanely high volume. Which is not great. I will say that the climbing behavior has improved. Again, it's been about 3 weeks since I've touched the plane entirely. I will again harp on the fact that I'm directly on the tail of the plane, which is not great. This would be a little more appropriate, a little further back. But it's climbing better. I'm gonna go to the cockpit. It's gonna get loud as hell again, so jump scare warning. Okay, and then you go outside, and now the volume dies down again. This might be hard for y'all to hear because you're only at 85%. But you can hear the fluctuation in volume there. Let's do that again. Yeah, so I'm a fan of the sound. I am not a fan of that volume. That is not great. I will say, compared to previous flights, it feels like the controls are a little smoother. Like, it's still a flying brick, which is kind of the whole point of it. But it responds well. And this is what makes it so hard to have criticisms about this as a project, is there are so many things that are improving, and I'll acknowledge that, like, hey, we are getting closer towards a functional, piece, but you're not going to tell me that someone implemented these landing lights that are still on, by the way, and thought, yeah, you're right, that's bright enough. It's a little goofy.
All aircraft be advised information might have current NH1011.
But at the same time, they did add lights, so I feel like I can't complain, because at least there are lights now. But at the same time, I'm still having those level of detail quality issues where I can see through the plane. I don't know. Am I happy there's an update? Yes. Am I happy that there's been improvement? Yes. Do I think that we're in update 3, and I believe the maximum was like 4 updates and then the final release. Do I think that that's reasonable? No, absolutely not. Especially not if you consider that this update in and of itself was a week late. Again, any update is better than no update, but I don't think this quite cuts it yet. I'd like to look around the cockpit a little more, but it's going to get really loud. Let me see. I'm going to turn the volume down to its lowest. It's still going to be loud, so... Again, I will say the climbing behavior and the flight model itself, it feels like it's reaching a level of refined where I'm like, cool, you have the flight model under control, can we please focus on ironing out the small stuff? I guess that's kind of my conclusion for this one. Because improvement is better than nothing. And there has been good improvement here. But with the new sound being an issue, the level of detail quality issues still being present, I wish that a little bit more attention would go to that and a little bit maybe away from the flight model, because that's refined enough as it is. Let's focus on making it, you know, the rest of it. There we go, flying off into the sunshine. It is a gorgeous plane though, isn't it? I love that plane. Also, the issues I've had in the past with climbing and gaining altitude, that is completely gone. You can have a really nice climb with it and not feel like you're constantly fighting the plane. Obviously, this is all done by hand. I'm not trimming anything, because why would I? It's just a test flight anyways. But it responds so much better. So in conclusion, realistically, if they stuck to the release schedule, there would be another update next Friday. I don't think that that's reasonable. I think especially with the holidays here in the US, a next update would likely be, I'd say, second week of December, which puts you at Friday the 12th-ish, which would be okay, especially if they can focus on some of the remaining issues. Cockpit, lighting, see-through airplane parts. Because the flying itself, yeah, this thing flies and can reach its altitude now. This is fantastic. I can't wait till it's completed and fully functional though. It's so much fun. Alright folks, I'm gonna call it there. I'm happy with the update. I'm glad to see there's been some substantial improvement, but a stern warning that there's a long way to go, and I don't think end of the year for a complete V1 release is reasonable. That's just my opinion. Hopefully I can be proven wrong. But as it stands, keep an eye out, and maybe the next update will have more improvements. Your guess is as good as mine. Well, you all have a great weekend, and be on the lookout for the next video. See ya!